Alright everybody, welcome back to the Silly Channel. Chili Willy here, doing something car related, not Fox body related, but car related. I have the Discovery Mindblown 4-cylinder model kit. My son, he is homeschooled, and this is going to be part of our auto mechanics class. I have never put one together. We did have one in high school when I was there. It was a V8, and this one here should be pretty interesting. 104 pieces. Got a battery pack. The spark plugs actually light up, or the little light bulbs light up as it's firing. So we're going to learn a lot about engine parts and how an engine works. I think this one has the almighty Ford B cam. No, probably not. It's probably a dual overhead cam of some sort. I don't know. But we're going to do some unboxing. I'll probably do a time lapse with the old generic GoPro here, the Picasso. And we'll see what happens. Unboxing, first time ever. Got an instruction booklet recommended for ages 8 and up. 104 parts, and it's got a picture of everything on it. Mighty header. These are shorty headers. BBK. A lot of small bags. Everything's in bags. Kit does come with its own tools and everything, so there is a screwdriver, and we're going to use the drill if possible. I don't know. Alright, here's our first progress. Put the motor stand together. The oil pan is blue. Crankcase, lower part of the engine block, basically, if you want to call it that. We did find out there's two different types of screws. You have one with a washer built in, and you have one that's just a standard. So you have to be careful with that. Alright, crankcase is screwed to the stand. Now we got pistons, connecting rods. We got to put those onto the crank shaft. We're hooking the connecting rods up to the crank shaft, and you tighten them down just as tight as they'll go, and it still gives you room enough to play, because it's got to have, you know. I remember doing this with my dad. We rebuilt my 5.0 that's in my Fox body, and we had to do a tape. We put the little piece of green tape in there for clearance to show you how much bearing clearance you have. And that beeping you're hearing is the GoPro. We're trying to take a picture of it every minute. Is what we're doing. As far as the review of this goes, I'm not fond of the piston halves, because real pistons are single piece. They have to be, or you'll be losing compression through there. But I know why they did it. They did it so you can put the piston pins, slide them through your crankshaft, and it'll catch. All the pistons are together, so that weren't too bad. And there's your crankshaft with your working piston assembly. This almost looks like my wife's Altima, which I'm fixing to have to do a head gasket on. So this would be good practice, right? So they've lined that up where crankshaft is in. All 4 pistons are there. I'm sure it's going to be fun putting that head on. 2 people, better than 1 on this, I will say. And we're going to screw this thing down. 4 screws hold this on. So let's do that. Okay, as far as realism goes, I do like the head gasket. Will only fit one way. You try and flip it over, and that there does not line up. So they've offset the screw holes there. So it only goes one way like a real one should be, which is something you've got to always be careful of. Okay, here's another plus I do like. The valve springs are actual springs. You got your valves, springs, you got your journal plates. These will slip in here just like this. They made it where they only go in one way. So we've got to put the springs in. So here's the head getting put together. You got your 8 valves with the valve springs on them. Here's the final product with the valves and springs in it. So we'll see what happens from here. Since there are 2 people doing this, I'm going to hold this up in the air and I'm going to push it down to where the valve connects or pushes out through, and my son will install the small valves and then the big valves, your intake and your exhaust valves. Alright, the hardest thing we've found so far is putting the head onto the crank body, the engine block. You can see he's trying to tighten that one down. You have to actually go in through this little groove right here. I'll point it out with a screwdriver, it'll be easier to tell you. See, there's a groove right there, and you had to go down with the screw on the screwdriver all the way down. Okay, on this setup we're making the mighty B cam that was made for the 5.0s. You have a long shaft, and then there's a short shaft that comes in later. One's running the cam. They're both, you have to custom build your own cam, it appears. It's not one piece. And we're going to start sliding those pieces together. We've got an A, B, C, D, E. So we've got to get all the cam lobes. And it appears they're right here. I guess they're blue. Am I looking at that right? Nope. Not sure. Anyway, we'll film this again when I figure it out. Okay, here's a complaint I have. You have to put these things together in order. They are labeled. You can read it. I don't see
B7D.
But he's going to lay them out.
B7E.
Yeah, this is a complaint on the load. We're building the cam. You have to be able to see that writing, which I think was a B7. We have to match. We have to put them in order on our cam. That looks like a B7 to me. Those are no fun to read. That is the worst thing we've done so far for my wonderful eyesight. But we're going to put this where it goes now and get these things lined up with the valve spring. Okay, they made a two-piece cylinder head. We've got the cam installed, and you have to space it out across those journals there, and got it where it does spin. And then this goes on like that. Okay. So now things are coming together. We're starting to get an engine out of this deal. Let's see how the old GoPro. Okay, putting the rocker arms together was actually very easy. You just have to offset them. You know, you got two per cylinder, one that way, one that way. Did that 4 times. And then what'll happen is that crankshaft and the timing gear and everything, whenever we put all the gears on this thing and get it timed out, it's going to be pushing exactly what it should be. Alright, this is in. That's pretty wild. Don't look very far, do they? Ah, there we go. Next up is timing gears. Looks like they're going to be in this bag, there and there, and those, and then we got to get our belt, timing chain, timing belt. Alright, from what I'm seeing here, there is no top dead center to find, even though I probably could, and we could do all that to get these gears right. I don't see it. You could literally take this loose, take that loose, and move this belt and that anywhere. So I'm guessing they don't worry about their valve to piston clearance in there, because I'm turning it and I see rocker arm movement, I see piston movement, but I don't think it matters. I don't think it's going to hit each other and bust a piston, but in real life you would want to make sure all that stuff is done right. Timing chain cover is on, valve covers are on. There was no top dead center, so we're not worried about piston to valve clearance. That's a downer, honestly. I think it would have been great to at least set a timing mark, like, and you possibly still could, but you had to take that off, take that belt back off. But they could have done a notch here. Alright, just put the water pump pulley on. It was fairly simple, just 3 screws holding that right on there. Time to turn the page. Almost, we're on the last page now. Alright, what I don't like about the front side is this piece right here just comes right out. That's kind of cheesy. They should have made that snap in. And the pulley up top, I bottomed out that screw. It's completely tight, and you still got some play, so probably need a washer or something in there. Because now we're getting to the motorized part. We just slid that piece and little gear on. That gear will run off of that. I'm sure that's what all these little studs are for, is to hold all this stuff together. So we're going to start undoing some wires and getting this thing wired up. Here's something else I don't like. There is no on-off switch, so you basically, when you plug in the wire to the motor back there, everything starts moving. So that's kind of cheesy. They could at least put a switch on the, you're going to get a battery box, take double A's, why not just put a switch on it? Another little fussy thing I don't like, it was very hard getting that to push in and sit just right. Number 3, I just got it in, but this is number 1. You got to push on it just right, get it to snap into a little notch inside of there. Now time for the exhaust manifold. We call this a BBK shorty header. I don't know, it's wired about like a 302 head, but it's standard exhaust, not made to sound anything funky, but with our mighty B-cam in there, it should be pretty awesome sounding. The exhaust manifold is the only thing that doesn't require tools. It just snaps right in, just kind of push it in, it locks into place. Alright, here's the intake manifold. It's just got 2 little push-on pieces too, so no tools needed. There's a little notch there. There we go, we got that. We got the rocker arms moving, opening and closing the valves. There they are. We got spark plugs firing. Crankshaft is moving very nicely. Pistons firing, like I say, it's almost identical to the Nissan Altima 2.5 from the mid-2000 year models. Fixing to rebuild the head on one of those. But anyway, that was fun. Took about 2.5 hours. Pluses, the screwdriver is a plus, being magnetic. You're gonna need 2 people to do this. One person's not gonna be able to set it up and hold and do the things they're gonna have to do. Yeah, would I recommend it? 30 bucks, yep, I would. It's good homeschooling. He got in 2.5 hours of homeschooling, some hardcore stuff right here. Built a working model engine, so there it is. I appreciate everybody who watches the channel. God bless you all. Peace.